We all know that actions have consequences. This is expressed in physical law as for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. We can understand this on an emotional level as well. If you do something which you know is wrong, you'll feel guilty about it. We've got a whole mass of emotional reactions. We're all different in this sense. We've got what could be called an emotional body. There are things which upset us, which please us. There are modes of behaviour which we'll avoid because we feel they're wrong or they might distress us. We might actually pursue certain modes of behaviour because we feel they're the right thing or they give us pleasure. There's quite a lot going on there. But there is this feeling, this underlying feeling that actions have consequences. Emotional actions have consequences. And in the traditional spiritual teachings you have this law manifested in the teachings of karma and the consequences of karma. Karma means work or action. It's what you do. And it has consequences. In the simplest terms, this is understood as affecting your next birth. If you perform certain actions in this birth and they're meritorious actions, then there's a possibility that you'll get reborn as some kind of divinity in the next life or in a state of good circumstances. And so we get the yogi, the traditional yogi, who withdraws from action and turns his action inwards to meditation, to visualization, and so on. So this is worth inquiring into, this idea of action and reaction on an emotional, psychological level. And tied in with this is the notion of doership. When we say I do something, what does that mean? Previously our situation was described as like that of a lame aquatic animal. Here we are in this vast ocean which is the universe, and all we've got are our two sets of appendages. We've got our two legs and our two arms. That's what we've got for moving around with and feeding ourselves and all the rest of it. These are the tools of action, if you like. Through technology we've been able to enhance our tools and explore the world to an incredible extent. Action can also take the form of ideas. We can affect the world, or at least affect the human world in terms of our ideas. So we can have influence at a distance through our ideas and thoughts. So that's also action. In the last video I was exploring though the reasons why we might want to do things. Are things done from a sense of lack, a sense of incompleteness, or are things done for their own sake, without any personal investment in them, out of a sense of completeness that you've got everything already, so you don't need to do anything, you just get on with wherever the flow of things indicates you should be getting on with. So the context here is one of the yogi who withdraws from action. That can be understood in the traditional sense, or it can be understood in the sense of one who's no longer personally investing in action. In other words, somebody who's no longer doing something out of a sense of incompleteness, out of a sense that something needs to be gained by doing this action. He who sees action in inaction and inaction in action, he is wise and he accomplishes all. So inaction is doing something out of a sense of completeness, doing something with a sense of this is an added bonus. And seeing inaction in action. In other words, trying to achieve something so that life is better than it was before, or your sense of life was better than it was before. Your sense of life doesn't depend on your material circumstances. Be not attached to the fruits of action, nor to inaction. Attachment is real doership. It is also non-doership. If you're looking at these ideas, you might get attached to the idea of not doing something. One may egotistically think, I do or I do not. But attachment is also non-doership. In other ways, are you really doing something when you are under pressure to do it? If you feel that everything you do is an obligation, well, where's the freedom? Where's the choice? You're not actually doing anything. You become an automaton, a robot. You've been programmed by your perception of your environment, and you see no choice but to get on with it. So if you feel you've got no choice, to what extent are you a doer? So attachment is real doership. It is also non-doership, because you're attached to the notions of your situation, notions about your environment, and expectations. So both these are aspects of foolishness. Hence, abandon foolishness. Abandon the concept of diversity even while being engaged in diverse actions. You are not the doer of actions. He is regarded as a wise man whose actions are burnt in the fire of self-knowledge and are therefore free from desire. So you're not the doer of actions. You're a doer of actions if your actions are based on desire and are basically reinforcing the walls of your cage. So if your actions are free from desire, then you're described as somebody who's not a doer of actions. He who restrains the physical organs but indulges in mental experience of pleasure is a hypocrite. Well, this is the yogi. The yogi that's abandoned physical action but is caught up in mental actions, mental desires. But he who, restraining the senses by the mind, works with his physical body free from attachment, he is a superior person. He in whose heart the desires that arise are turned upon themselves as rivers flow into the ocean, he is at peace, not the man of desire. So the desires that arise are turned upon themselves. In other words, the desires aren't followed. The motivating force of the desires is brought into awareness. The desire is understood as an opportunity for self-knowledge, self-realization.